Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 5. This is the last day of the Darwyn Danish Memorial Flight. Thank you all to everyone who's joining. As you can see, we're sitting here in Kamloops, British Columbia, up in the Rockies, with our de Havilland Canada 2 Beaver. Just gonna get ready for the flight today. Today is a special day since we're finishing the entire tour off. Hi, CC Vampire. Good to see you. I'm glad to hear all is going well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope you'll enjoy the flight today. You can see that we got some pretty decent visibility today. It's very sunny out. Winds are decent as well, so shouldn't be as bad as yesterday when we had some pretty windy crosswinds to deal with on landing. Today is going to be quite cool if you want to see some water landings, since we're leaving an airport here in Kamloops, but our first destination from here is Whistler, which you might have heard is a pretty popular, mountain resort destination up in British Columbia. So we're going to be heading there, where we're actually going to be landing on Green Lake. We're doing a proper water landing, and we're going to turn the plane around after we make sure we have fuel and everything ready to go, and head down to Vancouver, where, depending on conditions, we'll either be heading into Vancouver Harbor or the Richmond South aerodrome, which would take us on a water landing, but then we could use the ramp to get up onto Vancouver Airport South Terminal area, and we could either take off from land or water again. Though hopefully it'll be water, since that's I think that makes for more interesting flying. And then after that, much later on, it won't be back to back on that. After we've gone to Vancouver, you can tune in this evening around, I'd say maybe 4 or 5-ish British summer time, to join us for the final stretch back home, where we will fly over the Juan de Fuca Strait down to Darwyn's hometown of Victoria, where we will pass over the city very low, do a little flyover of his home for him, and we'll also be able to fly over the cemetery where he rests with us today. And in doing so, we'll fly low, get a nice view of Victoria. I'll be able to go down south over James Bay, turn around, and actually come back the way we took off, to give you all a pretty good view of downtown Victoria Harbor area. You can see the BC legislature up from there even. For those of you who don't know, even though Vancouver is the biggest city in British Columbia, it's not the capital. Victoria is actually the capital of British Columbia. So all the provincial governance takes place there, hence the legislature, which is kind of like the Parliament of British Columbia. That being said, we still have to get there first, so let's go ahead and begin pre-flying our aircraft. We can take our lock and our pitot cover off. Go ahead and shut the door for ease. There you go. Doors are locked. So, setting up the aircraft, let's get our batteries and our instruments online. You can see this is a Charlie Alpha Echo 5, really, really small aerodrome on the water, which is where we're headed, Whistler, today. Verify our fuel. We've got about half a tank and a full in the middle and a full tank on the front. That's good for us. So we'll turn our nav light on, since we're getting this plane ready. Magnetos, we're going to switch to both for ignition. We'll be starting on the center tank. Our altimeter today is 3004. So let me go ahead and set that up. 3004. There we go. Just verifying we're currently at 275. So that looks pretty correct to us. We're going to be taking off on runway 23 today, which will keep us on a bearing of 225. So I'm going to go ahead and set our heading to the runway heading. There we go. All right, we'll be cruising today in an altitude of 7,000 feet. And we're going to set our mixture. We'll just give ourselves a bit of prop. And now we're going to turn our beacon on, since we're about to start the airplane up. We're just going to give our pump here, and 4. Looks like our pressures are good. So, starter. And that's a good engine start, ladies and gentlemen. Give ourselves a bit of throttle, just warm the engine up. And set our flaps to takeoff, which you can see extending here now. Checking our ailerons are good. Elevators are good. Everything looks like it is working. Alright, folks, so just gonna give ourselves a bit of prop here. And we are good for taxi. So, for our taxi today, I'm just gonna bring our throttle down just a bit. For a taxi, we don't have very far to go. This is the runway we're going to be taking right here, this very small runway. So we're just going to taxi right over to it, get on, and we're ready to go. So with that, parking brakes come off. Give ourselves a bit of throttle. And we are off. Just got to turn ourselves around here. Make our way over to this taxiway here. And there we go. We're on our way. So you can see we got a bit of wind today. Nothing too crazy. It looks like about 5-6 knots of wind from the METAR. And, that's pretty much what we're seeing with the windsock here. So we're only going for the first rung. So all good for us today. That means that since the direction is correct, it should be a pretty easy takeoff for us, though I make no promises, of course. And then once we're in the air, from what I can see on the flight planning, I think we should be in the air about an hour and a half from end to end. So not the longest flight in the world, but definitely not a short one by the standards of some GA aircraft out there. So doing that, I hope we're going to see quite a few, nice British Columbia sites since we'll be up over the Rockies. I think this is definitely one of the more scenic parts of the tour, if not the most scenic. Get our lights coming on. There we go. Did not mean to hit the brakes there. That's a bit weird. Alright. Set our prop to full. Bit of a tight turn here. Nice and light today, and this aircraft, specializes in STOL and short takeoff and landing anyhow, so we should be pretty good. That being said, I am going to bring us to a stop, though, and hold our brakes and just get the engine running up. Make sure all looks good on that front. Up to 3.5 and release, and off we go. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are airborne. So, gears are coming up. There you go. See them coming up now. Just going to reduce our prop a bit. Climbing at about 1,000 feet per minute so far. As you can see, we're pretty much flying course we needed to anyhow. I'm just gonna keep my my hands on for now. Just line us up a bit here. So as we're climbing now, just gonna set the flaps to climb setting. Gives a bit of extra momentum here through decreasing our drag every so often. I'd say that's a pretty successful climb so far. And we may not have been able to see it earlier yesterday, but there's the city of Kamloops, or at least the northern segment of it, and then just behind this hill here is the downtown area of Kamloops. So if you ever do visit, you have a bit of reference now from this flight. Just going to get over this hill here, verify that we have some space to start configuring our autopilot. And then we'll be well on our way. Our departure will have been successful. Coming quite close to it too, you get a really nice view of these trees. the detail of the terrain below as well. I'm drifting a bit. Alright, coming up on 3,000 feet. I think it's fair to turn the autopilot on. We're going to set that to 600 feet per minute. Climb rate up to 7,000 instead. At this point, we're just going to go ahead and set it to nav so that it just follows the path for us. And now we're on our way. A bit more prop to keep it up. 3.5. If we zoom in, turning like this so that it can actually intercept the track that we need to be following. And there we go, folks. We have a successful departure from Kamloops. Even though we are flying at 7,000 feet, the mountains are elevated, obviously, so they will seem fairly close relative to what you might expect at 7,000 feet. But I hope that makes for some pretty good views. I mean, even at this altitude already, you can see just how detailed things are below us. The bodies of water, even, you can see buildings everywhere. And, of course, lots of trees, individual, nice and green trees. So I hope that for those of you who enjoy this part of the world, you're getting a nice Rocky Mountain vibe and experience right now. Some of the best that BC has to offer in terms of natural beauty. I think it's fair to say. And there you go. We have departed Kamloops on our way to Whistler. Alright folks, now that we've reached our cruising altitude 7,000, I'm just going to adjust our engine power settings a bit for our cruise. I'm also going to bring the flaps up as we just did. So we're all set. As you can see, we still have plenty of fuel. We're about 46 minutes away from Whistler, so I hope you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the beautiful views that this amazing province and mountain range has to offer. Alright, folks, we're entering an area with pretty bad cloud coverage, so just for safety's sake, I'm just gonna initiate a bit of a climb here. Don't want to accidentally hit something. Alright, folks, we have a fair bit of extra clearance now, so I'm just gonna set us down to 8,500, try and preserve some of our speed without burning too much of our fuel, because we're gonna have to switch tanks soon. There we go, we're reaching our new cruising altitude. Getting a bit of speed. Alright, folks, and as you can see, we have just about half an hour left on our trip to Whistler. Making good progress, coming up to about halfway through our trip, which is pretty good timing so far. Alright, folks, and with that, we're just going to go ahead and switch over to our front tank, which is fully loaded, like plenty of fuel in there to keep us sustained for the rest of our journey. Alright, folks, since it is VFR conditions and we are slowly getting close to Whistler, I'm now going to just set us on a new course to follow some valleys towards where we need to be. Alright, folks, as you can see below, we are now over a little valley between the mountains here. Just below us is these bodies of water. We're going to go around the bend over Pemberton in front of us, going to the left, and we're going to follow it down to Whistler, which will eventually take us to Green Lake, where we will be landing. So please enjoy some of these beautiful valley views and prepare for a descent with us as we come on down. Oh, thank you very much, Anthony Check, for subscribing, or sorry, following. I'm not sure exactly what the terminology is. Following, sure. I'm really appreciative of it, and thank you for joining us today. If you've not been watching yet, we're now coming into Whistler, up in the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia. We departed from Kamloops, which is just further eastward, further into the Rocky Mountain range. We're going to be landing on Green Lake at Whistler, which is a nice little body of water just north of the city. From there, we're going to get turned around and fly down to Vancouver Harbor, which should be a pretty scenic flight coming into Vancouver. We'll see quite a few things that you might recognize in real life if you've ever been there. If not, you get a bit of an aerial tour this way. So thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned. We'll be down in Whistler just under 10 minutes, as you can see from our flight management computer over here. That's Pemberton Airstrip, Charlie Yankee Pop Zulu, Sierra, sorry, brain fart. And we're just going to come down, follow. You can see this little stretch of water that effectively defines the little valley we're going to be following. To get there, you can see that stretch, that turn coming up in front of us. Right now we're about 8,500. Since we're have to get into the mountains anyways, we can start bringing us down to 7,000 slowly but surely. very slight descent rate. Won't do much to us. But thank you very much for all of you who do follow. And if you do follow, you can turn notifications on. This memorial flight is actually ending today, but I'm going to be streaming lots more flights and stuff. Hopefully every week if I can, if not every 2 weeks at the very least. The plane I'm flying, entity check, is the Havilland Canada 2 Beaver. This was a utility aircraft made by de Havilland Canada, which is itself a subsidiary spin-off of the de Havilland Company from the UK, just around the end of the Second World War. And it serves a variety of purposes. It served as a reconnaissance aircraft in the British Army and did similar roles in the United States Army. It serves as a recce and, I think, briefly as a search and rescue aircraft in the Canadian Air Force as well. And just beyond that, it's quite beloved in the aviation community as a really rugged little plane that works forever. Some of the seaplane airlines that operate in British Columbia and in fact go to places like Whistler where we're landing have operated this type of Beaver on pontoons as well. So it's really proved itself as a passenger carrier, and I agree, it's a beautiful plane. I love it a lot. Thank you so much for saying that, CC Vampire. And I hope you all will enjoy the views of British Columbia that go along with it. I think this plane goes really well in this province since it's precisely the type of rugged terrain that it was meant to brave. So our water landing hopefully will be quite nice and scenic for you guys. So we're just passing over Pemberton soon, which you can see actually see it right below us. That's Pemberton Airstrip right there. There's the town of Pemberton. And you can see little, sparsely populated areas around. That's the main center of Pemberton right there. And further north, there's a few more. A lot of these valleys all throughout the Rockies will have little communities in the middle of them. And you'll often have streams and rivers that flow through them as well that connect all the way to the other side of the Rockies as well, and these big lakes and estuaries as well that you'll find that keep it all flowing. We're coming up now. We're going to go left over this mountain here and continue down. Then we'll fly pretty much south or at about 190. I think our bearing would be about 190 or so, maybe 200. Continuing south, and then we're going to take a right turn over another mountain to our right, which will then bring Green Lake into view, where we'll be landing just north of Whistler. Depending on the height of the mountains next to it, because I haven't actually flown into Whistler in quite a long time, we may actually have to fly over Whistler so you can see some of the buildings in downtown Whistler there, turn around and come back to Green Lake, descending while we're over the city. Get a nice landing there. This aircraft, can fly pretty low and slow because it's still capable. So it shouldn't be a problem doing a quick turnaround and a landing at lower speeds. Just going to begin a bit of a turn here using our autopilot. So there you go. This is the valley that we're going to be following down to Whistler. Mountains aren't as high here as you can see, but we're still high enough you can see snow caps everywhere. It's pretty cold out here. Right now, internal temperature is around 55 degrees for the engine block, so we're doing pretty good. All our oils and fuels aren't freezing or anything yet, so we're doing pretty good, and we don't even need the pitot heat because, upon inspection of the wings, don't have much icing at all. We're doing pretty well. So I'd say this is a pretty good approach so far. Just getting closer here. I'm going to bring us to about bearing 200. There you go. Beautiful views out here. The sun is out in force today, so we're with quite good visibility. Up ahead. Just to keep your eyes peeled there, we may soon see the boundary of Green Lake coming to view. It's not a huge lake. It's not at all as big as the body of water we passed around back there when we were coming over the mountains, but it should still be a pretty significant view, and I hope you all can enjoy it very much. Alright folks, we now have Whistler in view. There it is. And there is Green Lake where we will be landing. So I'm just going to get ourselves a bit lower now. Going to set ourselves up for a landing. This gives ourselves a descent rate of about 1,000 feet per minute. Going to start a left-hand turn, try and bleed off some speed. Give ourselves a bit of space to set up a nice final coming into the lake. So this is Green Lake, as I said. The aerodrome is just over there in that little harbor area. Covered in snow just behind it is Whistler itself. So I hope you guys can get a nice view of the area as we come in for our approach. And with that, autopilot is off. I now have control. Altimeter is reading as 3004 for Whistler as well. So we're already all set up altitude-wise for that. You can really see the detail in all the trees in the mountains. It still amazes me to this day. I've pointed out so many times on these streams already. I hope I'm not boring anyone by doing that, but it's never ceases to impress me. Bring out our first flap detent. Alright, gonna give myself a bit more bank here. I speed a bit. Give myself a bit of a base turn here. Alright, here we are, coming into Green Lake. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are now down in the water at Green Lake in Whistler. Hope you liked that landing. It wasn't my best for sure, but I definitely got to try. Not the most practical seaplanes. All right, our rudders are out, and we are now on the water. So we're now going to just slow down, find a good place to park ourselves and taxi over if we need to. Thank you very much, Anthony Check. I'm glad to hear that you think it was, butter landing. Butter landing is always a big compliment for folks like me. And, thank you, Like We'll I'm glad you got to see the water landing, too. Like I said, definitely not my best, but pretty good, albeit. would have, been a bit of a pain on your rear end if you were sitting in the plane in real life. But all things considered, decent weather today. You can definitely see a lot. Like I said, the visibility and the wind is really on our side this morning. So with that, folks, I'm not going to waste any time. The stream will continue. It's just going to go on to a break screen momentarily for about 5-10 minutes or so as I set up the next flight. So please stay tuned. And if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat, and I'll endeavor to answer them by chat while I'm setting up the aircraft. So thank you all very much, and see you all in about 5 minutes. All right, folks, thanks for bearing with me. I'm back now, and we were just set up to get on our way to Charlie Yankee Hotel Charlie, which is Vancouver Harbor Aerodrome. It should be a bit of a shorter flight than the one we've done just now. Shouldn't be as long. So I hope you'll enjoy it. You'll see some beautiful Rocky Mountain views once again. and you'll be able to see quite a lot of downtown Vancouver up close as we land in the harbor. So with that, I'm not going to waste any more time and just get us started up. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have some power. Altimeter is already set. So we're just going to verify that our heading is correct. All right, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves turned around. See, the rudders are in the water doing their thing here. We're going to go ahead, set our flaps to takeoff. Winds are pretty much nil here right now, so we're all good. You can now see the stretch of green lake in front of us that we're going to be using. Yes, Anthony, check. I am using a joystick. For today's purposes, I'm actually using the joystick from the A320 HOTAS by Thrustmaster, which, for the sake of commercial flying FS 2020, I can wholeheartedly recommend. If you want something more versatile for digital combat simulator or the like, I can recommend the X52. That thing performs really quite incredibly. So with that, lights are coming on. We can retract rudders, full prop, and we'll give ourselves a bit of power so we have some control over where we're headed. And that's our V1 speed. And ladies and gentlemen, we are up. So there we go. We had a short stop at Whistler, and now we're on our way to Vancouver Harbor. All right, just going to set our climb settings here. Set flaps to climb as well. Just got to get a bit of altitude before we can turn around here. And we're beginning our turn south. Alright, we're just going to hand it over to the autopilot now. Actually, no, I'm just going to hand fly it for now. Autopilot coming off. Don't want to make a mistake. This entire mountain range, which is it's massive, it goes all the way up the Pacific Northwest towards Alaska, down through BC, and down into Seattle. oh, not Seattle, sorry, Washington State. It's called the Rocky Mountains. Currently, we are in Whistler, which is this little area in the valley that we're flying over right now. This is all Whistler down here, which is a popular destination for tourists wanting to come up and experience the Rocky Mountains in BC, since it's one of the closer resort areas in British Columbia. But no, the area we're in is called the Rocky Mountains. And everyone's coming on our autopilot. And as we continue our climb, we're coming up to 6,500 feet. Got to get over this mountain here, which is good for us because we need to get up high anyhow. We might have a lot more mountains at these heights. Just for the moment, being maintaining our speed. Bring the autopilot off. Can't fly her a bit now. Get a nice view of the mountain from the side here. And there you go, you can actually see some buildings up here. It's quite cool. And you see the autopilot got tripped up because we're altimeter is pretty close to terrain at the moment. So once we get some spaced out, hopefully it'll start doing its thing. Meanwhile, we're just getting on the course here. Just gonna get a bit of climb if we can. Huh. Alright. Well, that's never happened before. Don't know what that's all about. And we're coming up to just past through 8,000 feet. Pretty well so far. Just trying to keep Yeah, stick on alert over here. But you're still climbing. Not much of a problem. See, we're just coming through 8,500 feet now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Both ends acting up. We got this peak off to our right here. Gotta be careful not to get too close to that. Side step to the right a bit. And here we are at 9,000 feet. Flaps are now up. So for those of you who are interested, the city of Squamish is just over there, which is another fairly large city up in this part of the southern Rockies, southern BC Rockies. You can see we're coming down over just a bit lower terrain for the area, which is good for us. Hey folks, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Accidentally must have hit something and triggered the scene transition. My apologies. So we're currently about 15 minutes away from Vancouver Harbor, making good progress down. Rockets are starting to mellow out, as you can see. So we're no longer over the super high stuff. Still pretty high out here, but not as extreme. So we can sit here at 9,000 feet or so without much problem. Alright folks, we're slowly beginning our descent into Vancouver Harbor, and as we do so, we're going to switch over engine to the full tank at the front of the aircraft. So there's no issues on that front. Descending pretty slowly, you can see the end of the Rocky Mountains coming up here, and Vancouver Harbor will be just ahead of us. We're going to be coming in over North Van, turning around, and as we do that turn, we'll be able to see Stanley Park in the light, and of course we'll be able to see the Lionsgate Bridge that comes into Stanley Park. And as we do so, we may turn around, come over the bridge, and then down into the harbor. So ladies and gents, there you go. You have Vancouver in the distance. There's downtown Vancouver over there. There's Lionsgate Bridge and Stanley Park over here, and we're going to be coming like that to the left and into the harbor here. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, you can see downtown Vancouver here, Stanley Park here, and the Lionsgate Bridge here. Just going to be getting a bit of a turn here to lose some speed. And here you can see out next to us the beautiful Juan Fuchs Strait between us and Vancouver Island just over there. And returning back now. Just over there you can kind of see Vancouver International Airport, or YVR, right over there. Trying to lose a bit of speed here as we come in towards the Lionsgate Bridge. Do a nice flyover for you folks to inaugurate a special landing. We're just here. This is all West Vancouver over here. Pretty expensive place to live from what I remember. Just over there is North Vancouver, you know, leading up onto the edges of the mountains. Also here as well, you know, with views of everything below and the water as well. So here we are. Some flaps out. Here we are coming over the Lionsgate Bridge. And here we are, folks. Alright, now we're set up to make a nice smooth water landing. You see downtown Vancouver just off to the side there. And there we go, folks. We are down. And we're just going to go ahead, get our rudders in the water, There we go. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome very much to Vancouver Harbor. You can see this downtown Metro Vancouver here. And just across, you can see the Landscape Bridge. And North Vancouver here and West Vancouver over there. Thank you all very much for joining me for this second to last leg of the Darwyn Danesh Memorial Flight. For now, we're going to go ahead and start closing out the stream. But if you join us around 4 o'clock BST, British summertime, you should be able to join in for the very last leg of the flight, which is by far the most special, I think, where we'll fly from here in Vancouver Harbor over to Victoria Harbor. And doing so, we're going to cross over and do a little low-level flyover of the city of Victoria. We'll see Darwyn's neighborhood, see his resting place from above as well. And I think that'd be a very fitting end to the memorial flight. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day, folks, and see you all at 4 o'clock BST.